I'm a couple days late, but I'm back with another cover price top 10 list, the hot books of the week. Um, let's dive into the list. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out the description of this video for links to my eBay store, email, whatnot, and Instagram. Feel free to reach out to me on any of those platforms. And we're going to dive into this list now. When I do this weekly list, I am a couple days late. Usually I drop it on Wednesdays, but here we are on Friday. And Covrprice is a subscription service that provides pricing for comic books, and it's rather unique, and it's the only one that provides updated pricing for both graded and raw books. And they come up with different lists and articles throughout the week, and this is one of them. They don't pay me, I pay them for this service. And let's just dive into the list. Coming in at number 10 is Trinity, World's Finest, number 1, the Sowie 1 in 50 variant that is selling for like $150. Now, I did pick up cover A of Trinity number 1. Trinity is the daughter of Wonder Woman, who was introduced, I believe, last year. And this manga style book has caught attention. So let's see what Covrprice has to say. Manga style art is slowly working its way into the comic community. And this cover from artist Sowie, I believe that's how it's pronounced, I'm just kind of guessing, is a great example. Being a 1 in 50 variant is the highest ratio for this book and will be tough to get. How many stores ordered 50 copies of this book? However, Sowie is developing a massive fan base online, and their talents have worked well for this book. Being limited in number 1 issue and having that manga style all worked for this book to make it hot in the aftermarket. So, brand new book just came out, I guess, last week. Let's move to number 9. And number 9, For Unfortunate Reasons, Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 2, number 36, this all-black cover as the 9/11 tribute issue. This, of course, is a book from 2001 that in high grade is probably $40 to $50, and 9/8 are quite expensive. We can see here there are a couple of big sales. There was a $359 sale recently, but usually it goes in the $150 range. And I guess it gets a little more interest in it because of the every time we come up on September 11th. Again, I said an unfortunate reason for the book to be on the top 10 list. We highlight this book in some way every year, but some don't know what it represents. The book is the infamous 9/11 issue, released in the aftermath of that fateful day. It epitomized how those in the community tried to process the emotions involved. Seeing our favorite heroes and villains come together in a time of crisis was what people needed to see. The sense of community that took over this country after the disaster was summed up well in this book, despite happening over 2 decades ago. Those alive to see it unfold will never forget, and this book serves as a somber reminder. It's just kind of interesting perspective. As I've said before on the channel, I'm a high school teacher, and I'm at the point now where none of the students, and even most college students, were not born when this occurred. I was basically in the same position I am now, as I was 2 doors down in a different classroom, but teaching in the same building. I'm sure a lot of you remember that. And of course, I live in the New York metropolitan area. So there were people I knew who and lost their lives. So a somber reminder. But just on the comic book market side, the all black cover does make it very difficult to get this book in a 9.8. Obviously, any imperfection will show up quite clearly. Let's move on to number 8. Uncanny XMen 274, this classic Jim Lee cover. And with Rogue cozying up to Magneto. This is about a $15 book and a 3-digit book in 9/8. And we see here, it's about $140. I mean, fairly consistently over the last several months, probably up a little bit. I mean, did peak, if you look here, what didn't. Its best was $164 during the boom. And if we look down in 2019, it was, probably a $60, $70 book. Why is it trending right now? It appears the fan said, to the heck with it, and opted for the original. This book received a facsimile version last week. This is one of the things. Facsimile of this book where you can get it for like $10, $15. And fans were after it mostly due to Jim Lee's incredible work and the dynamic between Rogue and Magneto. But why not the real thing? Some fans opted to do just that, driving sales in the aftermarket for a book that otherwise wouldn't have received much attention. Yeah, I get Marvel prints facsimiles because people will buy it and they'll make money. But it's just seems like, I'd rather have a facsimile of a book that's going to cost hundreds of dollars and very difficult to find than a brand new book. But that's just me. Or not a brand new book, but a book that you can find. I mean, I'll go to a show on Saturday. I'm sure that would be able to find this book and probably even see it on the wall at this point. Let's go to number 7 on the list. And this is Howard the Duck #1. This is the first appearance of Gwenpool. This is from 2015, but not to confuse with the other Howard the Duck #1, also from 2015. Volumes 2 and 3 both had their #1 start in 2015. First full appearance of Gwenpool. $20 book, kind of flirting with triple digits. In a 9.8, and you can see it's going up to about $1.25. It's pretty under the radar, but fans consider this book to be the first full appearance of Gwenpool. There is some debate, minimal, but this book is prevalent and cheap enough for fans to take a flyer on her first appearance. She was in a predominantly background role for the first few issues of this run before she became a bigger player, going on to receive her solo series. I just picked up a second print of this book recently, and this is a book that, under the radar. I usually can get it for a fairly inexpensive value. Especially if I can find it in something that I think is gradable, and the gradable books are still quite expensive. Even if we look at the census, 1,000 copies on the census, more than 2/3 of them are 9/8. So that's a reasonable amount on the census for a Howard the Duck book from 2015. Let's go to number 6 on the list. And this was on the list last week. It's Avengers 55. This is the first appearance of Ultron. It's a book from 1968. And you can see it's, $50, $60, $70 in solid condition. It's a harder book to find in high grade. In those high grades, you're going to kind of have to look at the graded sales. If we look at this book, I took the sales history of an 8.5, and this peaked when the Age of Ultron movie came out. Then it came down, but it's always been flirting around $200 and still kind of the same. You may recognize this book as the first appearance of Ultron. And once upon a time, a decade or so ago, it was pretty hot, thanks to his appearance in a little project called Avengers Age of Ultron. Most fans figured Ultron was done and gone, but it was recently announced that James Spader, who voiced the character, is returning to the MCU. In what capacity is unclear, as we don't know if he will appear in a live-action or animated project. However, the fact that Spader is returning was enough for some collectors to take another look at his first appearance. One thing that's kind of interesting, this book is on the list 2 weeks in a row, but when Galactus casting was announced, and we're going to see him next year in the Fantastic Four film, his books really didn't spike too much. Maybe the fact that this is a more affordable book, he's not on the cover, so that kind of mutes the value of it a little bit, but still a great Silver Age key. Let us go to number 5 on the list. And it is here, NYX, the Art Germ second print version 1 in 25 that came out just last week. And it is going like hotcakes. 9.8. I imagine these are pre-sales, but look, $250 for Near Mint Plus. I mean, Art Germ does do some nice art, but man, that is an expensive book. The variants of this are going for a little bit more than the cover A. And the thing to remember with NYX, right? NYX is not the name of the character. It's the name of a neighborhood in New York City in the Marvel universe where mutants hence NY, New York Mutants X, hang out. Which of the pronunciations of this do you use? I use NYX, and I've heard other people use NYX. I think it's more of an acronym, but so be it. Most fans were after this book thanks to the first appearance of Krakoan, former Hellion, and the promise of new X characters in the future. But the variant cover featuring the X-23 sure were moving well. However, the second print 1 in 25 variant from Stanley Art Jerem Lau stole the show. It's rare to see a ratio cover for a second print, let alone one so popular. But X-23 has been on a tear lately thanks to Daphne Keene's appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's no surprise to see the high sell price on this variant. I think a lot of people are excited about this character. I mean, anticipation of her first appearance in NYX number 3 has been growing and growing and growing over the years. And that excitement for the character in combination with this art germ cover put it on the list. Let's go to numero quattro. And for the second week in a row, it's I Lie Popeye, the video game homage. This came out in late August from Massive Productions. I can't imagine this 9/8 sale actually occurred. Maybe a pre-sale. But this book is about a $30 book, and it's on the list for the second week in a row. Want to know how Popeye lost his eye? Want to see it portrayed in anime style? Then this is the book for you. After initial solicitation, numerous fans were eager to see what the series was all about. Then they got hit with this awesome punch-out video game homage from Trevor Richardson, and it was off to the races. Popeye has a massive fan base still, and this new spin has collectors interested at a classic homage, and you have heavyweight aftermarket movement. I'm kind of curious as to how popular Popeye remains. He's a long-standing character. He was in the newspaper strip Thimble Theater, by who was E. Segar in like the late 1920s. He had a long-running series of animated shorts starting in like 1933. Fleischer did a lot of the early ones, and he also worked on the later Superman animated films. I think they continued into the 50s, and then there was an animated television series in syndication. Of course, the Robert Altman movie starring Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall. And I believe there's a new project slated, but I'm kind of surprised to see so much interest in Popeye. Because it doesn't seem as though there has been a reinvigoration of the character for quite a while. Let's go to number 3 on the list. And it's Deadpool's Secret Wars number 2 variant Gwenpool cover by Chris Bacalo. It's the first appearance of Gwenpool, but only on the cover, much like Hulk number 1 with Red Hulk. And you can see you're going to have to pay probably at least $100 for this, and 9/8. I mean, at one point, Boom Time, they jumped up to $360, and they're flirting with that again. $370 sale. Is that a record sale? It's hard for me to tell. But yeah. No, the highest was $505. There are 1,200 copies on the census, and that's more than the Howard the Duck number 1. Almost 3/4 of them in 9.8. And you can see 370, 250, 260. It's a book. I think 370 is an overpayment. I would say 250 is what the fair market value of this might be. But wow. The Gwenpool love is steadily growing. This book features the first cover appearance of Gwenpool despite not appearing in the story. It's yet another Gwenpool key issue that fans of hers are investigating after her introduction to a new generation of fans thanks to Fortnite. It's a bit more expensive than her previous book, but fans are steadily moving up the chain of key issues. I know there are a lot of Fortnite players, but I'm not sure how much a skin in Fortnite is going to have sustainability in terms of people wanting the first appearance of this character. Will Gwenpool ever come to the MCU? Maybe. And the fact that, they used her in Fortnite may be that she's kind of more in the forefront of the minds of the marketing people. I don't know. That remains to be seen. Let me know in the comments if you think we're going to see Gwenpool in the MCU. She'd kind of be a weird, like multiversal character when we get to Secret Wars. I guess that's possible. Let's jump up to number 2, Ultimates number 4. I haven't read this yet. The Francesco Mobley 1 in 25 and the Secret Origin of Earth 6160 Doom. Yeah, I have to read this issue. I got it, I guess. When did it come out? Last week? I'm still a couple weeks behind on my... No, I haven't read last week's books. I just got to read. I know it's there last week. Yeah. So what is this costing, folks? About $30, $35. There's a lot of quiet hype surrounding this book, as writer Dennis Camp stated fans need to read this issue if they want to understand Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Dr. Doom. However, this issue goes into the origin of the Earth 6160 Dr. Doom, who's originally Reed Richards. It features a fantastic 1 in 25 Doom cover from Francesco Mobley, and we all know Doom has been all the rage. So, interesting book. Yeah, I do have to read that. I don't think I got the variant cover, though. Let's go to the numero uno on the list. And for the second week in a row, the top book on the list is 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank. This is from Black Mask Studios back in 2016. If you want a copy, about $25. 9.8s. Well, I mean, there are only 235 copies on the census, 209 eights on a single 99, and they're just hovering around $100. And this has been optioned. It looks promising. The book had optioned me all over it when it initially debuted. Actually, it's been cast, so it's well into that. And it is straight up Goonies rob a bank vibes. The fanfare was great for the series, and a competitive bidding war took place between the studios not long after. Not much came out for a few years, but recently it was revealed Liam Neeson has been tasked with starting the project, and Point Grey Pictures has definitive plans to move forward. That caused a surge in the aftermarket as collectors aim to secure the first issue before confirmation spread far and wide. So that's it for the top 10. Let's take a quick look at the runners-up, numbers 11 through 20. Aliens versus Avengers, a lot of talk about this series. I think fans are interested in these kind of crossovers like the Godzilla versus DC thing. We're always going to see Secret Wars number 8 pop up every once in a while. Ice Cream Man number 1 cover B. Sony has successfully secured the rights through their label Screen Gems. Screen Gems used to do TV shows like I Dream of Jeannie back in the 60s. No word on whether it be a film or a series, so that's kind of interesting. Star Trek number 500. 500 is a big issue number to hit, and is celebrated 1 in 10 retailer incentive. That's a pretty cool cover, though, with like all the little Star Trek books in the spinner rack and the figures. That's kind of fun. It's an unusual day when you see a Star Trek book hit the list. Number 15, Infamous Iron Man number 1. This book has remained hot. 16, the first appearance of Frankie Ray as Nova, a Herald of Galactus. People think maybe Frankie Ray was spotted on a set photo. First appearance of Gambit, first cover appearance, second appearance, whatever you want. This is the book that people want. Uncanny XMen 266. And one of the things I think a lot of people don't reference in comparing this to X-Men Annual 14 is there are people who collect X-Men runs, and not every run collector also collects the annuals, right? So I think that increases the demand for this book. And more Gambit Love It number 18, Solo Series number 1. And then Uncanny X-Men 251, the Silvestri cover that was homaged. And then, of course, the first appearance of Deadpool. So that's going to do it for the top 10 list. I'd like to thank you for joining me. In the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.